here, Ryan Jackson here joining us this afternoon. Ryan, thanks for taking the time out of your day and adjusting with our technical difficulties on the Wi-Fi end.
Yeah, no problem, man. It's fun.
Definitely. So, Ryan, you're from McAllen. You're a baseball player. How have you been these past couple of months? I know once everything kind of started getting shut down, a lot of people there was so much uncertainty. How did you handle those first couple of months?
Yeah, so they let us go early March. I was there in Florida for about, I would say, 2.5 weeks, and just really from one day to the next. It was just like, hey guys, we have meetings tomorrow. Practice is canceled. Went to all those meetings, and then finally they decided, like, yeah, we're shutting it down, and you guys are headed home. That first week or two back, there was really no talk on what was going to go on. It was really just keep in shape. After those first 2 weeks went through, they started sending us our throwing programs and lifting programs, stuff like that. Me at home, the gyms and everything was really closed. So I'm here in Seguin, Texas. It's about like 45 minutes away from San Antonio because I live up here with my fiance and her parents. As far like gyms, they were closed, so it was really a bunch of home workouts, body weight stuff, a lot of running. As far as throwing, I have a park like down the street, so I go to the park, and then I have my own little mound behind here in the backyard, kind of a little setup to do that.
Definitely. Quarantine, I think what was different or different and difficult for everybody in their own little ways. Outside of baseball, did you find any hobbies maybe or anything you did during quarantine?
Um, I love to barbecue, so that's one thing that we would do every weekend. We're barbecuing here. Um, my fiance's stepdad, he likes making a bunch of knickknacks and little things. So I've like learned from him. We did the mound back there. We did some cornholes that we're playing with. I'm planning stuff for the wedding. So we've been making stuff for our wedding, me and my fiance's wedding and stuff like that. But other than that, I had gone a job with AutoZone. So I've been working with AutoZone for the last, since I got back in October, before or after the first season of Pro Ball. I've been with them. So that's the way I've been keeping busy, just going to work there with them.
And just yesterday you had mentioned that just recently you had tested positive for the coronavirus. So it's good to see you're feeling well. Just walk us through that and the stages and how that happened.
So yeah, this past, I think it was like June 3rd, June 4th-ish, I went down to the valley, and I went to go visit my parents and stuff. I hadn't been down there since the quarantines happened in early March. I went down there for about a week. I went down to visit some friends, and then I came back up. I was feeling fine. I came back on a Sunday afternoon. About Wednesday, Thursday-ish, I felt like really like I had allergies, and it was really windy that day, so I felt like I had allergies. It was just a bunch of congestion, like a light cough and stuff like that. So I just went with my day, like just took an allergy medicine, or it was an Allegra pill, and then just went on. And then on Friday, my buddy called me, and he was talking to me on how his mom tested positive, and I wasn't in any contact with his mom, but I was with him. So I don't know in what way or form, maybe he was a carrier and I picked it from him. So I ended up going to get tested, and sure enough, I was positive. So for the last probably 15, 16 days, I've been here at home. I've had a lot of congestion, body aches, just fatigue. But I haven't really been able to take anything. The doctors, they told me if I wanted like a Tylenol really for fever reduction, but I didn't have a fever. But definitely, it's kept me home. It's opened my eyes to just be more cautious really when I'm going down there. And I was with a group of 4 or 5 people there at a house, and I was able to catch it. So we'll see. I'm definitely doing a lot better now, though.
That's good. And you had mentioned too that you're already what in your last couple of days of the 2 week deal?
Yeah, I should be getting cleared up either today or tomorrow. I'm just waiting up on the doctors. The doctor's been calling every day, checking on symptoms. So their thing is, after the first day, if you've been good, past the 10th day, you should be cleared. If you haven't had a fever, in more than 72 hours. And also you can't be taking any medication. So like if I took a Tylenol today, I wouldn't be cleared up till Friday because you have to be without taking any sort of medication for 72 hours. So I mean,
Definitely.
it's really letting your body fight it.
Right. Well,
Mm-hmm.
it's good to see that you're healthy and you've already beaten it and you're already getting ready to go back to
Mm-hmm.
normalcy. But shifting gears onto baseball, you're a baseball guy from McAllen. You played your ball at McAllen Row, UTRGV, then you got drafted. Let's start off. Let's wind back the clocks when you were just a kid. Baseball always your first sport.
So yeah, when I was younger, my dad really showed me everything. I love to be outside. I was always outside every day. They would have a hard time bringing me in. They really like if I didn't put up the grades in school, they would take away that. They wouldn't take away like video games and stuff from me just because I wasn't very much of a gamer and stuff. But it was just like you're not going outside or we're not gonna go to practice and stuff like that. So baseball was definitely the first sport I ever played. I started playing pretty late though. I started playing when I was 9. So I was 9 years old and I went straight into kid pitch. And I went from there. I was with the rec team for a season. And then after that season, I tried out for it was called the Diablitos at the time with Victor Montenegro. And I was with them the rest of my career, really growing up, all the way till we got to high school, went to many World Series and all USSSA tournaments, AAU, all that good stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's
And so, when was it in your career, your baseball career, that you wanted to pursue not only playing in college, but eventually playing pro ball? When was it that you found your niche?
So my freshman year of high school, I played I wasn't gonna do this, but I ended up trying out to play basketball because I played basketball and football in middle school. I played everything in middle school. I played football, basketball, soccer, everything. In high school, I was really just gonna focus on baseball, just because I was my freshman year of high school. I was like 5'2", 5'3". I wasn't very tall. So then the first week of basketball tryouts had already gone on and they needed one more person. So my friends convinced me to try out for the team. So I ended up trying out for the team and made that freshman A team, whatever. And I ended up playing basketball that freshman year. But then halfway through the season, or like right before I got to district, really, that's when baseball starts. And I had already known I was going to be on varsity on baseball. So it was kind of one of those things where do I want to push basketball and start from the very bottom or go to baseball and I'm already on the varsity team and just fight for a starting spot on that varsity team. So that's really where I went. I just chose baseball and went from there.
Definitely, yeah. And we know road basketball is pretty serious. Yeah,
Yeah,
those guys they can ball. So,
right.
but your years at Row, what stood out to you, and were you always a pitcher, or I imagine you may have played another position.
So yeah, I played a little of everything. Mainly, I would play middle infield, third base. I caught a good amount my freshman and sophomore year. Once my junior and senior year came into play, like my junior was me and Andrew Padron as pitchers, and then we had a bunch of freshmen and sophomores coming up that were pretty good, and Armando and all them. So they took over those kind of roles and being a catcher, filling up third base spots. So it was me and Andrew going just pitching, and then my senior year, I just straight was a pitcher and a third baseman. So that's when really I started pursuing more of pitching. That I actually took the time to just go to trainings in the off season. I was doing more like I would go 2 or 3 times a week for a pitching workout and once for hitting. And before it was like try to balance it out.
What was your velo like in high school?
My senior year, I was like 87, 89. Every now and then I would pop a 90, but really most of the time was like 87, 88 around there.
And
Mhm.
what are you throwing right now? Where are you at?
This past season, I've been anywhere from 90, 95. I've touched 95 once or twice. I don't consider myself a 95-mile-an-hour arm. I usually stay low nines, anywhere 92, 93.
Mhm.
If I'm feeling good, it'll go up there, but then I just feel like I don't know where it's going. It's
Right.
just one of those things, yeah.
And what do you throw?
It's a fastball, a slider, and a changeup.
What's your best pitch?
Um, I love my slider. I will throw it all day. You can ask Matlock. Matlock would love to call my slider all the time. I've just had really good control of it. I'm starting to develop the changeup a little bit more. Going into my senior year there at UTRGV, Matlock kind of he didn't take away my slider, but he told me in the fall, like, hey, you're just gonna throw fastball and changeups. That is it. Like, we're gonna develop your changeup, and that really helped me going into the season to make me a 3-pitch mix guy. And then it translated into coming over here in the minor leagues that first year where I could use all 3 pitches, and I was pretty comfortable with them.
Right. And making that jump from high school to college, obviously it's tough. And you were more of a starter role in high school, and you were more moved to a reliever role when you were at UTRGV.
Yeah. My freshman year, I did both. Freshman, sophomore year, I was a starter, reliever, kind of flip-flopped from the weekend starter to a weekday starter, and vice versa as a mid-relief guy, kind of.
What do you prefer? I know these days we know there's your bullpen guys, and then there's your starters.
So in high school, I love to start. I love just giving me the ball and I'm gonna go the whole game. Towards the end of my career there with Coach Bettis being the head coach my junior and senior year, he kind of took better, or not, I wouldn't say better care of me, but he monitored the amount of pitches I threw, and to where he wasn't gonna overuse me. So he kind of showed me like, hey, like, you can throw a certain amount of pitches and be good in 2 or 3 days, like, because I'll have you ready instead of you just blowing your arm out on one day and I don't have you the next day. Mm-hmm. So he kind of showed me like both sides of it, to where when I got to college, I kind of fell in love with being more of like a reliever. So my junior and senior, I was a closer, and just the fact that I knew I was going to be available every day. Like, I can go on Friday, throw my 15 pitches, 20 pitches, and then tomorrow I'll throw another 10. And then Sunday I can go 30, 40 pitches, however you want it. So just that kind of helped me just transition. Just he kind of built the way for me to take care of my arm and just like listen to my arm, really.
And when did UTRGV come knocking on your door?
So the way I started talking with them was with Coach Lopez back in 2014. It was in the fall. They had a camp. It was like their regular fall camps that they had. It was a pitching camp. It was a week-long one, and I went there, and I also went there with Zach Martinez, who ended up signing, and Manny. Manny was there as a hitter, though. And we were just there, and we went through some pitching workouts and through some bullpens and just some video review on stuff we can touch up. And then after that camp, they called me like really 2 or 3 days later if I wanted to take a visit. And I ended up taking a visit, and then they offered me as a preferred walk-on. It was a no scholarship. You're on the team. You got the fall to prove yourself and go from there. So that's all 3 of us ended up signing that day. And we went from there, really.
And were any other schools interested? Did they reach out to you at all?
I was talking to several JUCOs. I had West Texas. I was talking with LCC. And then I had a D2 up in Seattle. I forget the name of it, but it was up there in Seattle. But I really never wanted to leave Texas, really. I wanted to kind of stay close to home. JUCOs, Coach Bettis really wanted me to go to a JUCO. And I just something about a JUCO that I just didn't want to try it out. I didn't want to go to a JUCO and just me not like it and just end up coming back home. So that's all I knew I was going to be given a shot here at UT. It was UTPA, UTRGV, and I was just going to, whatever happened, that's what's going to happen, really.
And then, of course, you stay home, just, McAllen, Edinburgh, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
What was it like, being a home, not a hometown product, but, a Valley grown product playing right there for UTPA, UTRGV?
It was really fun. I mean, I got to see my family come every day, just friends. Everybody was there at the games. I mean, from my freshman and sophomore year, when I was there, I would say it was okay with the crowd wise. After my sophomore year, I left for a year, came back after that year with Matlock came, and then those 2 years, the crowds were totally different. I mean, we were getting 3, 4, 5,000 people every Friday night. I mean, on a Sunday, really, you would just see my family up in the stands and a couple of other people, maybe 50, 60 people at a game.
Mhm.
And then this past year on a Sunday game at a 12 o'clock game when everybody's in church and stuff, and there's
Mhm.
Sunday football and stuff like that, there was at least 1,000 people there, which is nice. I mean, it's nice to play in front of a crowd.
Yeah. And I'm sure
Hmm.
you enjoyed the heckler. You know who I'm talking
We love Jerry.
Gary, yeah, man. I mean, I'm 28, and I grew up, going to Pan Am games and of course Roadrunner games. He's been
Hmm.
there way before since we were born. But
Yeah,
I know as a kid, I had that same whistle that he does, and just his heckling. Yeah,
yeah,
he,
we love him.
he's a good guy to have in your corner.
Yes, sir.
Um, but talking, about college ball and when you got drafted by Tampa Bay. Let's go back to draft day and what was that like, and your decision to ultimately say you feel the time is right to
Hmm.
put your name in the major leagues. What led to that decision?
So after my junior year, I wasn't drafted. I wasn't drafted both years. So after my junior year, I was given a free agent deal. I was given a free agent deal by the Angels, but I turned that one down just because I wanted to come back. I had 1 year left of school. I had 1 year left of school. Um, I mean, without baseball, I find it hard that I would have gone to school just because baseball kind of drove me to, hey, you gotta keep up with your grades. I mean, that's really how it's always been since I was a kid. I mean, it was either you pass or you don't play at all. And my parents were always like, you have to get an 80. It's not a 70. You need an 80, 85, get better. And then on draft day this past year, I wasn't drafted again. I was watching the draft like crazy. I had my laptop there, I had my TV on, and I was bouncing around from my house and my girlfriend's house at the time. And I wasn't drafted. And then after that, we had it was about a 2 week grace period where I was just getting phone calls really on, hey, are you still available? Are you still interested? And I mean, it was always yes. I just wanted a chance, really. Just give me a chance and see what I could do. And then finally, I talked with Marcos Lavad, which is the race scout down there in the valley, and he
Mhm.
referred me to Pat, which is his area scout, his boss. And then that's where things went. That they made it happen, and they ended up signing me and got me a plane ticket to go to Florida, really. But
Yeah, go
mhm.
ahead.
I was actually on my way to a job interview as an assistant baseball coach when they called me on that. So I was driving up to San Antonio when when Pat called me, really, and he was like, "Hey man, tomorrow morning your flight's 5 a.m. You're good to go." And I was like, "Pat, I'm in San Antonio, but I'm gonna drive back down right now, and I'll get my stuff ready. We'll go."
Right, yeah. Tampa Bay comes calling. You're like, hold the phone. Uh,
Yeah,
we've seen some guys who get drafted in the later rounds. They don't take it. The next year, they decide to sign a contract. Or we've even seen some cases where guys get drafted twice, and then the third time around, they don't get drafted, but they sign they go undrafted but get signed as an undrafted free
right.
agent. What's the difference? And you would think that when you would get drafted, you would sign then rather than being an undrafted free agent and sign then. What's the difference in your opinion, or why would players elect to do that?
I mean, like for me, really, the only reason I did it was I loved Matlock and UTRGV. Like I loved that atmosphere, and I felt like we had something special as a team coming with a group of guys that were going to come play with us. So I felt like really we had something to prove. My freshman and sophomore year, we got dead last. My junior year, we missed playoffs by one game, one series. Really, we needed to win one series going into our last two series of the year, and we lost them both. So I felt like that just motivated me to, hey, I want to go back and try to change this thing and try to put UTRGV as a winning program, just to leave on a positive note. And then school, man. Like, so I'm done with school already. Right now I'm working towards my teacher certification. I want to eventually get into high school coaching and college coaching. So I'm working just on my teacher certification right now, and I feel like if I didn't go back right now, I would be having to go to school, and it would be online, and I just feel like it would be a drag on me. Like I would be like really dreading going back when
Mhm.
now I have my degree and I'm good to go, and I just need to work on that certification.
Right.
But I mean, I just feel like it's a preference. Definitely signing. I mean, usually the first, second time you get a lot more money than you're going to do as an undrafted free agent. Usually you'll just get the minimal. But I mean, it's really how much do you love the game at that point?
And so you become a part of the Tampa Bay Rays organization. What was that wow moment for you? That I have Saul Garza on Snapchat. We're both Edinburgh North guys. Just the other day, he was showing on a snap that he was at Kauffman Field and just showing the video
Mm-hmm.
board and walking the field. And I'm pretty sure that was a wow moment for him, saying
Mm-hmm.
like, this is reality. What was your wow moment when you got to Tampa?
So mine was kind of different. Like I didn't get to walk the field or anything like that. So since I was picked up 2 or 3 weeks later, that first day that I got there, that was their first game because I went straight to GCL, the Gulf Coast League, the
Mhm.
Rays, which is their rookie ball. I got there on a Monday, I believe. Yeah, Monday afternoon, and they had their first game that Monday at 4. So as soon as I got there, it was just like, "Hi, how are you doing? Meet this person, this person, this person. This is kind of our locker room. Um, your locker's right there. Let me size you up. What size do you need? Short, shirt, everything." And just head out to the field. There's a game going on. Watch it. Tomorrow we'll get you ready. And then that next day I showed up, and they asked me like, "When's the last time you thrown? Do you need to see live batters?" And I just told them I was fine. Like I was ready to go. And sure enough, they just threw me in that first game to close the game out. So I really had no really time to like put everything together and be like, I'm in a big league setting kind of with a bunch of all these guys. It was just kind of like throwing me into the fire. Let's see what you got at that point.
You're here. Let's get to work. Pretty
Yeah.
much.
Yes.
Definitely, you're on the list of names with, Tres Barrera recently, Saul Garza,
Mm-hmm.
uh, you know, Fred Villarreal, Brownsville veteran, who's up with Seattle. Just talk about what you guys are doing as a whole for Valley baseball, showing that, because I know when I was in high school, it was very rare. I know Alexis Garza was at
Mm-hmm.
McAllen and he got drafted by the Astros, but
Right.
there are a few far and in between. But these days, we're seeing a lot of you guys play at the D1 level, D2, and sometimes maybe go the JUCO route, then go D1.
Mm-hmm.
But you guys are getting drafted, and you guys are playing minor league ball, and eventually we'll get to the major leagues. What does that say for the Valley baseball as a whole, and you guys really just breaking that door down and everyone going through it?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think there's a lot of talent in the Valley. There's a lot of young kids right now. I mean, I worked when I was there at UTRGV. I worked at Ochoa's baseball academy, so I saw a lot of those young kids coming up and just getting really good at baseball. I mean, I wish I had all that when I was younger. I mean, I went to a lot of facilities and stuff like that, but just seeing those little kids. I mean, I know Alexis Garza has his own place, his facility, which
Mhm.
he's training out with a lot of those kids. I mean, I've seen those kids; they're pretty good. That Palmview area, La Jolla area is getting
Yes.
really good with talent. Those Broncos and I know there's a group of freshmen there that they would come train with us a lot. So those guys are it's gonna be fun to see them in a couple of years. And then those middle schoolers, once they're in high school, it's gonna be fun. Start competing with a lot of the Corpus and San Antonio schools. I mean, I got to come over here since I'm here in Seguin. I worked out with the Seguin high schoolers, and I can tell you with what they're doing over here is the same thing we're doing in the Valley.
Mhm.
So I mean, it's nothing different. It's just a mindset. Really, you can't look at it as I'm playing a San Antonio school. You just got to go on the field and say we're going to win the game. Like, and that's the same thing we kind of did at UTRGV when we played UT, when we played TCU. It was not go to the field and expect to lose. Like you expect to win all the time, no matter if you come short. Just expect to win, give it all you have. But definitely the Valley has a lot of talent, and I'm excited to see in the next 5-10 years how they're going to turn things around.
Right. And talking about minor league ball and the wonderful world that is minor league baseball. What are the unique things about minor league ball that make it, the minors? Because I did a couple years with the White Wings and independent baseball. It's all in the same realm where it's just one thing after another. It's a crazy world.
So
Um,
minor league is definitely a grind.
yes.
I mean, it was just my first year there. I mean, Tres could probably tell you more because he's had 5 years there, I believe. but definitely I went through 4 organizations in 4 months, really. So I went through rookie advanced, short season single A, and advanced single A. I moved around from 2 teams there in Florida to West Virginia for rookie advance, and then in New York for a short season single A. Those bus drives are no joke.
Or not?
Yeah, and then so I know we were talking about earlier how I'm on that Bowling Green roster. I
Mhm.
mean that there's one drive there that's 16 hours. Like it's a 16-hour bus ride. Like that's a good drive right there.
Very good
But
drive.
but I mean minor it was fun. I mean I liked it. I mean I got to meet people from all over the world. I mean when I was there the GCL guys, it was a lot of Dominican guys, a lot of Puerto Rican guys. Got to see how their culture is. Kind of
Mhm.
it's similar to the Mexican culture. I mean
Mhm.
they looked at me and they didn't think I talked Spanish, and I was like, yeah, like, I understand what y'all are saying. I don't talk it a lot, but I understand what you're telling me.
Right.
Um, and then just moving up to seeing how West Virginia and New York is, that's a totally different part of the United States. Those those trees are huge, just different sceneries.
Yep.
Um, but I mean, it's definitely fun. I got to meet a lot of the big leaguers. When I was there with Port Charlotte, the Stone Crabs, I was playing with Wander Franco, which he's the #1 minor leaguer prospect right now. And just being in the same locker room with him and being in the same field, it kind of like you're really here, like wow, like, that guy's gonna be in the pros probably this. I mean, if the season would have gone on, he would have been there this year, if not next year. He's
Mhm.
only 18, 19 years old. Seeing just that you're there with him, but I mean, it's
Yep.
definitely fun, but it's definitely a grind.
Yeah, and the fun part, where it's like we're when we're in it, it's frustrating, but then you look back at it like, man, that was fun. Like the long bus rides, the meal money,
Yeah.
the hotels, having a room, the getaway days, the breakaway rooms, and all those things are it's a lot of fun. Um, you know, having a little bit, talking more about baseball, but a little bit more fun with the questions is, who's your favorite MLB pitcher? Maybe growing up, or still one that you kind of look at today and say, hey, that's who I look want
Mm,
to be
so I would say my probably all time favorite would be Pedro Martinez from the Red Sox. Even though I do not like the Red Sox, I would just say just I love the way he pitched. I mean, he was a small guy, but he did not care. Like he was gonna throw it. He was gonna throw it right over your head if you're standing on top of the plate. He was out there competing every day. Just he did not care who you were, if you were the best player in the league or the worst. He was gonna give everything he had that day.
And maybe did you also model your game after Pedro, or was there a pitcher you kind of maybe modeled it after?
Um, so I mean, just growing up through the years, like really just trying to mimic my style of pitching as far as like my slider. I would try to mimic it to what's his name to I just went blank to Osuna from the Astros,
Oh,
and then
Roberto Osuna.
also and then I also try I love the way uh, Sergio Ramos pitches or
Hmm.
Sergio Romo. He played with the Rays for a while, played with the
Hmm.
Giants. Just
Right.
he was a low velo guy, but just his slider was really good. But I mean, I've watched like a lot of video on just major league pitchers, seeing different grips on
Hmm.
how what works good for them. I wouldn't say I tried to throw exactly like them, but just see what works good for them and test it out and see what works good for me. And then like once we got there with the Rays, we had all that spin rate and all the just staying on the same plane and your axes and everything. So I mean, once you get there, you kind of like figure like, hey, this guy fits me better. Let me look at the way he's doing things and go from there. Because I mean, you can't be a robot at the same time. You can't just be like, oh, this guy's picking up his leg this high and he's getting his arm right here. It can't be the same. Like everybody's your unique self.
How about your growing up, your favorite baseball team?
So growing up, it was probably the Yankees, just because my dad's a really big Yankee fan. So
Hmm.
growing up, we were always seeing Derek Jeter play. It was Posala and Andy Pettit, Roger Clemens there with them. So it would probably be them. My all-time favorite player is Derek Jeter for sure.
You know, and the Rays, you know, being that you're a pitcher, I mean, I'm a big Astros fan. If you
Mm-hmm.
the background here, my goodness, you know, the Rays pitching staff was filthy this year.
Yeah.
I think they're vastly underrated, and just the stuff that those guys have. Like, I was refreshing my memory. Tyler Glass. Now I know
Mm-hmm.
he was amazing, and then of course, you guys took old Uncle Chuck, Charlie
Yeah.
Morton
Charlie
over.
Morton.
Yeah, were you able to maybe be around any of these guys, any of these
So
pitchers? Or
I would say from that GCL team, that Rays team, rookie ball, as I moved up, those pitching our pitching staff is good. There's not one pitcher that when I was there that I was like, he's okay. Every single one they got on the mound was there to compete. It was nothing. I don't feel like any of them have anything special, like just a wow pitch, but just their mentality on when they get on the field. Like most of those guys off the field, we're all joking around. Nobody's really serious. We're just joking around, laughing, talking about what we're doing during the day, what we're gonna do later. But then once you're on the mound, that guy's just completely different. Like it's just a switch that goes on in each one of their heads, and just all of them are ready to compete. Even there in spring training, I was there with basically the whole minor league system. So just being around them and working with them and seeing first and second year guys being pushed to the double A, triple A guy with them to compete, and then just vice versa, moving everybody around just so we can compete and kind of talk to each other on what works best. And really, we worked with every pitching coach. That's something that I liked about the Rays, that we weren't just zoned to one pitching coach. It was like this week one pitching coach is with us, next week a different guy, next week a different one. Like everybody just came and gave their input on what you can do better, what you're doing good, and just go from there.
definitely. What's your
Mm-hmm.
favorite MLB moment, or one major league moment that maybe sticks out to you?
Oh, my favorite MLB moment. Huh. I mean, honestly, I really, really liked Altuve's home run this past year off Chapman. That was a really good moment. Like we were watching it here, and my girlfriend's parents are not really big baseball fans, but I had them watching the series
Yeah,
here. So that is one thing that sticks out, and I really don't care if he stole his pitches or not, stole signs. I mean, he still hit it 400 feet.
right.
So, mm-hmm,
Definitely. Being that you grew up a Yankee fan, me being an Astro fan, they've developed a little bit of a rivalry over these last couple of years,
mm-hmm,
especially in the ALCS.
mm-hmm.
What was your take on the whole Astros deal? You know, with the whole scandal and everything and the sign stealing.
I mean, it's one thing to do it, but I mean, like they say, like if you get caught, you get caught. You're gonna get punished. I
Mhm.
mean, as a young, I mean, high school, really, in college, we're taught to read the pitcher. Like in college, we're all looking at the pitcher. If as pitchers, if we see something that the guy's doing, like it can be in his glove. If he moves his glove and it's a fastball every single time, I mean, obviously, I'm gonna go tell my coach, like, hey, this guy is doing something this way, like, and he's throwing a fastball. Or if we're looking at their sign system, kind of like if we see like I don't know, like if they were like some sort of sign system that they were using, and if let's say we figure out that hey, the hand is indicator. I mean, it's something just to pick up. I mean, a ball is coming 95 miles an hour at you. You need some sort of guidance on what's coming. When you have a 95 fastball and then a 90 slider, or if you're like Garrett Cole and throw 100 with a 92 slider, like that's something that you just, I mean, you need all the help you can get, really.
Definitely, yeah. No, you're exactly right. Where I've always seen it as it's a part of the game.
Yeah, I definitely agree
You know,
too.
because when I played, you're absolutely right. We had a guy in the dugout designated to watch the catcher and watch the pitcher. And in my opinion, if they pick up on your signs, you either change them or don't make it, so obvious or so
Right.
predictable.
I'm.
That's why when the Yankees, ironically, came out a couple weeks ago saying that they were, caught stealing signs and doing this and that, I'm like, well,
Mhm.
yeah, duh. Like,
I
why is
mean, if
everyone so shocked?
if you see like the amount of charts that we have in a dugout, that you'd be like, wow. Like we have charts for everything. We have charts for hitting. We have charts for pitching. We have charts on what did this guy throw on this count. Like, I mean, if we're tallying everything, you kind of can figure out what's going to come either way, even without stealing a sign. If I see a guy throws a fastball on a 1-0 count 90% of the time, like, I'm going to go show it to all my batters and be like, hey, guys, if it's 1-0, you better be ready. Like, it's coming.
Mhm.
Like, I mean, that's something. I mean, as a pitcher, I mean, I definitely I wouldn't want the other team to pick up on my signs. Like, I'd be mad. But at the same time, I have to be like, realize, like, hey, like, if I'm going to do something with my glove, I better do it on every single pitch. If I'm going to do some sort of movement with my shoulders or something, I better do it all the time, just so I can stay consistent and not be like I'm tipping a pitch. And then that's something, like, in college we really worked on with like my changeup. I would just get really long with my arm on my changeup, and then everything was kind of just out. So you could tell, like, it was fastball, slider, and then changeup would go down. So, like, that's something I worked on so I can fix. So just so everything is one, you want everything to come out the same way, because I mean that's something easily somebody can pick up on.
Right. And of course, sticking with Major League Baseball, July 24th is a projected return date for baseball coming back. What's the word with the minor leagues and how everything might go?
So as far as minor leagues, we really haven't heard much. I know we have some phone calls later today and tomorrow on Zoom, also some Zoom calls. On They haven't really told us much. Really, it's kind of just be ready, wait for them to call you and see what happens. Really, I'm not sure if a season's gonna happen. It's kind of late in the year.
Mhm.
But I mean, I'm glad the MLB is starting, because I mean, even if my season doesn't happen, at least I can watch them. It's gonna be weird though with no fans. It's kind of like the Korean league that's going on over there. They might put some stuffed animals in the crowd and stuff like that.
I was reading the regulations where the players would sit in the stands. There'd be no fans, no
Hmm.
spitting, no sunflower seeds. There's so many different regulations, and I know it would be so interesting and so weird to see, but nonetheless, we're just happy that baseball is close to returning uh,
Yeah.
more often than not. Before we go, Ryan, any shout outs or any messages you'd like to give out to any family or friends maybe tuning in?
Oh, just I want to thank Nathaniel Menchaca. I think he works with
Right.
you guys. He's the one that actually contacted me just to get on this phone call with us. Thank you for him. Just thank my coaches from high school, Angel Bettis and Coach Ramos and Ronnie Luna over there. And then just shout out to the UTRGV baseball team. I can't wait to see them next year. I'm excited for them. I think most of them are coming back, if not all of them. So I'm excited to see them next year. And we'll see what happens.
Definitely. Again, we're joined by Ryan Jackson, who was scheduled to come on yesterday at 3, but we had some technical difficulties, so we rescheduled the show for today. So Ryan Jackson, a McAllen Row alum, UTRGV, UTPA, he was a part of the merger, and
Yeah.
currently in the Tampa Bay Rays organization, playing for the Renegades. Ryan, we're glad you're feeling better. Thanks for sharing your baseball story. I know I enjoyed it. Hopefully, one, we'll have Major League Baseball back, and hopefully the minor leagues will get up and get going again, and we're excited to follow you, and hopefully we'll eventually see you up at the big club.
Yes, sir.
All right, thanks, Ryan. Thanks for joining.
Y'all stay safe down there. No problem.